Hi everyone and welcome. I got some pretty excited news to share with you today, so let's get straight into it. For all those familiar with Tekla, you probably know of and love custom components, but you also are painfully aware of all the limitations with the custom components. A while back, Tekla introduced a live link to Grasshopper, Rhino Grasshopper, which allows you to do so much more than you can do with custom components. However, usually there's only a few people in the company that knows about Grasshopper, if that even, and you have to know the interface, so it's not very user friendly. But Tekla has now introduced what we call Rhino.Inside.Tekla. That basically means that we can run Grasshopper scripts as custom components or as plugins straight from the Tekla UI. So if I'm just going to show you, I activated the tool there right now. So if I double click on that, I get a normal interface. I can then load in a script. So you can see it's loading in the script and you get like a normal Tekla component interface. So I'm just going to insert a line from there to there. And now it's calling for the Grasshopper script and modeling for me in the background. And the great thing about this is we can do so much more than we can do with custom components. Obviously here I have a bridge girder. As you can see, I've inputted 2 points, like the length of the girder, and I have like a section view here. You can see that it's inserted the voids, the drainage, the lifters and everything else. All of this could be done before, but the great thing is now then you can always have the user UI to manipulate your data once it's in Tekla anyway. So if I want to change the size of this to like 1200, I hit modify, we can do that. We can change it back to 1500 and maybe change the sides of the right flange, so we can get like a concave sort of shape, if you can see it there. Or we set that to 0 and we do the opposite, so increase the mid. We can also add like a skew angle on the ends. Set 12. As you can see, we have some other tabs here as well. I mean, this is all customizable and set to whatever you want, so it could be tailored to, if you're a consultant in Melbourne, you could be working to Vic Road standards. If you're in Brisbane, you can be using main roads or TMR standard rules in there. If you're a precaster, you could be using whatever's needed for your requirements in your facilities. We can look at the voids, reinforcement, lifters. So if we look at the reinforcement here, for example, we got a strand and then a strand layout file. So this could be connected to an analysis program. It could be connected to wherever you want to pull the data from, a cloud service, you name it, doesn't really matter. But in this case, I've connected it to a good old Excel sheet, so you can see what I'm pulling in there. That's the file that I'm gonna add to this model. So just do that and click yes, and you can see how it's added all the strands in there as well, according to my data file. We can go and manipulate the lifters. I mean, that could also be either in a lookup table based off the size and length of the girder itself. In this case, I'm just picking one. We can also add the reinforcement. I mean, all of this should be so defined that you can actually just have, do you want to create reinforcement? But obviously you can make it whatever suits you. So pretty much the whole girder is reinforced. You can see that we're flaying the bars at the ends. We got bars in between each of these voids and under them as well, and then special bars at the end. So, and these all adapt with changes to the geometry. So you can see on there that we're arcing the bars at the end as well. But this is just placing one component at a time. I can then also stitch this together into a bigger system and then place an entire bridge at the same time. But before I do that, I will also like to show you this more examples. This is obviously just a bridge beam, but I mean, we can do stairs, we can do hand railing, we can do an entire building, we can do sheds, and use all the benefits of Grasshopper. We can then pull and push data to other programs such as analysis or spreadsheet data. We can collect data from DWG files, you name it. So we have all the possibilities of the Grasshopper space, but in a simple UI for the user. So now I'm going to show you how we can insert multiple of these components from a bigger script. So it becomes sort of an inception of scripts, I guess. What I'm going to do is run Grasshopper the more traditional way and have everything open at the same time. I'm going to pick a road line here. So these are just example road lines for me. I'm going to set this curve, for example, and I can zoom in. I can set some parameters here. I mean, this is just an example, but you can see how many girders do you need, widths, how many spans do we have on this bridge. Obviously, you could set the spans and the direction of the piers and headstocks and all of that yourself, but this is just an example to illustrate how you could place multiple of the Tekla Rhino.Inside.Tekla components at the same time. So we can do that. We can pick another road line, but if I just press this button here, create in Tekla, we'll just have to wait a bit, and now what it's gonna do, it's gonna take on each one of those lines in space, it's gonna place a girder and push it with different settings, so different skew angles. It can have different void settings depending on the lengths, everything that I showed you just before. It's gonna do automatically for me. But at the end, I end up with a bunch of components or plugins in Tekla that I can manually adjust instead of having to rerun the big script again. So the whole script's not finished, and as you can see, we end up with a bridge that is pretty much fully reinforced and ready to go to the precast yard if we've done everything correctly in our rule sets and what have you. But if there is some setting that you manually want to adjust, or a technician later want to manually adjust, you can still open up the user interface and you see all the values that's been pushed from the big script to each component or to each girder. So this is a way more powerful way of working, because you don't have to cut the cord between your script and the Tekla model. You keep that intact all the way to the end. You just cut the cord to the main script. Alright, thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed that demonstration, and if you have any questions, just feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn or email. Hope to catch you in the next video.